Well, hello, LinkedIn community. My name is Brian Galicia. It's my honor and pleasure to have Jenkar from our Dynamics R&D team on the phone call with us. I hope everyone's doing well under the continued circumstances. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope everyone's staying safe. So I wanted to kick this LinkedIn Live session, ISV Connect Studio conversation off with Jenkar. So Jenkar, welcome to this LinkedIn Live show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenkar, and I'm a PM on the ISV Experiences team here at Microsoft, and I'm also the PM for ISV Studio. So I'm very excited to talk about that with everyone.
Yeah, sounds good, Jenkar. So for those of you who may have missed other ones I've done, my name is Brian Galicia. I lead our business applications global recruit and manage team. And so I know many of you have potentially joined this session today to learn more about this amazing benefit that you actually get. So if you're part of the ISV Connect program, Jenkar is actually going to describe all these great things regarding ISV Studio. So for those of you, I'd love to have real-time engagement. If you want to post in the LinkedIn window where you're from or what you're potentially interested in, I potentially can ask questions that I see directly to Jenkar, and we can get started. So one thing that I'll just kick off is if anyone's really interested in learning more about the program, this is just a compiled set of capability or resources in what's called our a LinkedIn environment that gives you insight into how to get to how to learn more about the ISV Connect program. So before we get started, one thing I always typically do with people on these shows is to ask Jenkar or guests, like, what's one thing that you'd be open to sharing that's not on your LinkedIn profile?
I guess the one thing that is not on my profile is, so I am a singer. I have had about 10 years of vocal training. That is not on my LinkedIn profile.
Wow. Because we didn't rehearse this. I knew I was going to ask you the question. I didn't know what the response is. Wow. Now you've got me really curious, Jenkar. I have to figure out if you go to when things open up again, if you do like open mic or something like that. I'd love to. Is it what type of genre of singing do you do?
So primarily do Indian classical singing.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes, but I do perform at shows and various other occasions, pre-COVID, of course.
Wow, geez. Well, hopefully in the near future, when things open up again, I'll be able to hear your beautiful voice. So, as we get started, I mean, tell us a little bit more about what is ISV Studio, because hopefully many of the people on this phone call who are ISVs in the BizApps program know what it is. But in case they don't, if you can give everyone a feeling for what is ISV Studio and what are the benefits that it provides to an ISV actually enrolled in the program.
Yeah, absolutely. So ISV Studio is designed to be the go-to destination for our ISVs who are enrolled in our ISV Connect program to monitor their apps. So once an ISV is enrolled in the ISV Connect program, once they publish an app on AppSource, they can actually go into ISV Studio and monitor the success of their app. ISV Studio provides various kinds of telemetry into, for example, the number of installations that took place of your app. If there's any installation failures that your customers are encountering when they're trying to install your app. And finally, it gives you insights into the usage of your app. So your monthly, daily, and weekly active usage. And I'm happy to demo all this, of course, but at a high level, there's wonderful telemetry that, an ISV can proactively use to make improvements to their app, to measure the success, and so on.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it is one of those, I think, hidden gems that maybe people don't realize. And I know that one of the requirements of getting that telemetry is actually getting that app downloaded from Marketplace. So one of the reasons of getting it certified and all that stuff is to see that telemetry. A potential customer of that ISV would actually have had to install that specific package certified application from Marketplace or appsource.microsoft.com down to their tenant, correct?
Yes, that is key. Like all installations must take place via our AppSource Marketplace.
Okay, great. And then you might get into this with the desktop, sharing your desktop, but what are some of the parameters of how someone can actually use it? How is it set up? Meaning that if I'm an ISV and I have, let's say, multiple people who do different things in Partner Center, which is our partner kind of place where a lot of like lead sharing, you publish your app there. what are the parameters of who has access to it? What do they see, et cetera? How's that? Before you show anything, how is it roughly set up for ISVs?
Oh, for sure. So a key thing, again, just to highlight, is an ISV must be enrolled in the ISV Connect program to be able to access ISV Studio. To get access, right now, what an ISV would have to do is they have to have an AAD account, of course, and then via Partner Center, they have to be associated with a publisher account. So they have to, once they're associated with their account, then we authenticate an ISV Studio. You can log in using the same credentials you use to log into Partner Center. And once the authentication passes in terms of, hey, you're associated with this publisher account, you'll automatically have access to ISV Studio. And you'll also only be able to see information related to that publisher account. That's another key thing to point out as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for the nice overview. Why don't we just go ahead, if you can share your screen and your desktop, why don't we just show the audience what it actually looks like if no one's particularly seen it before.
Yeah, for sure. I will start sharing my screen. Alrighty, so I'm logged into ISV Studio right now. This is, of course, our demo account. So, once I log in, this is our homepage. As an ISV, I can immediately get an overview of my top apps and my top tenants. And at a very high level, again, I can see the total number of installations that have taken place for each app. In addition, I can also see if there's been any recent failures with these apps. To dig deeper into all the wonderful features that I mentioned, so I'll click on the ResKit app right now. And once the page loads, I can see the number of installations that took place, and I can actually see it via different pivots. So for example, I can see installations that took place via an environment, via a tenant, specific package and version installed by a tenant, and the location of these tenants. The other tab, install failures. So for example, let's say a customer is trying to install your app via AppSource, but they run into an installation failure. ISV Studio will let an ISV know what that error log looks like. And it'll actually tell you information in terms of, what type of error it is, which specific package, version, environment, and which tenant encountered this error. And so this feature specifically is expected to really help our ISVs resolve customer issues at a more rapid rate, because it'll tell you exactly what these errors are that the customers are encountering. So when a customer reaches out to an ISV saying, hey, I tried to install your app, but I ran into an error, an ISV can go in here and find that error, and they can help troubleshoot. They can also filter the error by, solution versions within a package. And lastly, and this is one of my favorite features as well, is an ISV can see the app usage analytics. So again, the monthly, weekly, and daily active usage of your app. And right now, the couple of things I'd like to point out with this feature is, this feature or the usage is aggregated by measuring the component usage within an app. So the first set of components that we brought in were app modules and CDS entities. And this is a feature that we are continuously building on. So we will be bringing in more and more types of components. But this is how the aggregation happens today, is by measuring the component usage within an app. And it can also filter down by specific component name. So if I click on this specific, so this example only has one component, so the data doesn't change. But if there were multiple component names within an app, then the data on the page would change. And again, same with install failures for usage. We see different package and solutions. So if your app has multiple packages and multiple solutions, you can see the usage of each solution individually. So these are all the features within ISV Studio. And again, just to point out, we are continuously building on bringing in more and more features. So if there are any metrics that you as an ISV use and you would like to see in ISV Studio, please do reach out. Reach out to us. There's many ways to reach out to us, and then we can try to build that for you. So yeah, that's ISV Studio in a nutshell. Oh, Brian, I actually cannot hear you. You are on mute.
Sorry about
Here
that.
we go.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So Frank asked the question, to clarify, did you say this telemetry data is only available in this ISV Studio if the customer installed the app source? And I believe the answer is yes, and just get confirmation for you. Okay, great. Okay, perfect. So if there are other questions while we are talking, I'll feel free to do what Frank had done. And thanks, Frank, for being the first one to ask the question. We're able to flash that up there. If there are other people that, with a few minutes we have remaining, have questions, please don't hesitate to post it, and then we'll be able to flash it up here and potentially ask Jankar.
Yeah.
So Jankar, I guess one of the things that we can talk about is, so what's next? Of course, you are doing such great work as a team to build this out, and so great that this is built on the Power Platform. As people saw, it's like we're utilizing our own tools to give that back to the ISVs. It's not built on something else. It's actually built on the Power Platform.
Correct.
Can you describe and talk about what's next? Like, what are some of the other enhancements or things that we are going to provide that ISVs would, who either are using it, or hopefully by people watching this, they realize, oh, I actually can utilize this. This is because of benefit to ISVs enrolled in the program. What are some of the things that's coming up next?
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of exciting things that are coming up. So, for example, right now in ISV Studio, the apps we show telemetry for are C&E. We are looking to bring in telemetry for F&O apps. And this is in the immediate future. I'd say within the next 2 to 4 months, our ISVs will start seeing telemetry for F&O apps. In addition, one other thing that we're trying to do is we're actually enabling the capability to give more users read-only access to ISV Studio. So a publisher can add someone within their organization or their team read-only access just to ISV Studio without needing to go through the higher level authentication required via Partner Center. That is also something that our ISVs very much requested, and we're very excited to finally be building that right now for our ISVs. Like I said, app usage analytics, we are continuously building on that. So in addition to app module CDS entities, we're looking to bring in more and more types of components, such as plugins, forms, flows, things like that. Plugins will be our next release, I would say, when it comes to app usage. And then lastly, this is something that I personally am very excited about, is we're actually looking to bring in the capability for a publisher to publish multiple versions, with Microsoft. And I've spoken to a few ISVs myself. It's something that they're very excited about to just hear. So I'm very excited to be working on this to kind of bring that capability to our publishers. And then we're also, in addition to just being able to publish multiple versions, bring in capability for a customer to auto update their apps. So just to be clear, the app versioning and the auto update is not in the immediate roadmap within 2 to 4 months, but it's on our radar. We're working very hard to bring that to our users, to our partners. I'd say, within the next 8 to 12 months.
Great. I love it. All exciting, different things. And we got a couple more questions and a comment in here. Let me just flash this comment. So whoever this person was, it's great to see. You can see here, excited that our ISVs can leverage this critical insights to predict and reduce churn, which is exactly like that is one of the things that this provides, is giving our ISVs telemetry and that insight to manage that, to work closely with us as we're driving, again, benefit to end customers. One of the follow-up questions that came up, Jankar, doesn't the telemetry data tie to the solution ID and the deployable package, and therefore wouldn't matter how the package was installed? Can you potentially comment on that specific question regarding the utilizing ISV Studio because it has to be from AppSource, not from somewhere else? Correct.
Yeah. So yes, it does tie to the solution ID, but the telemetry we get, our pipeline is attached to our pipeline within AppSource. Let's say a user takes that package and sideloads it or uploads it some other way. We don't have a way of knowing that install event, even if it is tied to that solution ID.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Appreciate that clarity. So Danny asked a question regarding Power Apps to Business Central, a connection from a customer perspective. And I know that currently ISV Studio is only CE for now. You mentioned F&O, but other things like is Business Central potentially on the radar for ISV Studio in the near future, based upon Danny's comment here?
Not at the moment, but I'm really glad that Danny, you brought this up. Definitely something I'd love to talk to you more about that, just to really understand where you're coming from. But so not in our immediate roadmap, but that can be changed.
Okay, fantastic. And then for people who probably saw the event, Jankar, of course, it does have a LinkedIn profile. So if that's the best way to reach out to you, just send in a message over LinkedIn or connection request. I think that would probably be the best way to kind of do the follow-up. And it's
Definitely.
great to have that. Yeah, great to have that.
There is actually one thing that I'd also like to point out that's a benefit of ISV Studio itself is we have something called the App Source Checker that is a part of ISV Studio. And for users that are not familiar with it, what App Source Checker will allow you to do is it allows you to continuously check the readiness of your package before you upload it to AppSource or upload it to Partner Center. So you can as you're developing your app, you can upload it via App Source Checker, run a check on it. And if there's any validation criteria or certification criteria that have not been met, or if there's high severity issues that must be fixed before this app can go live on AppSource, App Source Checker will tell you that. So you can continuously check the readiness of your app before you do your final publish to AppSource.
Yeah, that's great. One other question that came in. Are there any plans to support installing from other ways because none of our customers install our solution via AppSource?
No, we do not have any plans to support that yet.
Okay, great. Well, that's, I think, unless there's other questions that pop up, we can talk about, so call to action. How do people learn more about ISV Studio? Best ways, again, you mentioned like to provide feedback, like how do people just learn more about the ISV Studio solution?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of ways you can learn about it. One, we do have our documentation site, which is ak.ms ISV Studio Docs. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
There's also various different ways. For example, we do have a Pro Dev and ISV community forum. So you can reach out to us, you can provide suggestions. That forum is actively monitored. I monitor it, everyone on my team monitors it. There's also the documentation site specifically for ISV Connect. And I know materials for ISV Studio have also been included as part of the ISV Connect materials. So a lot of ways you can learn about it. You can also reach out to us at isvfeedback@microsoft.com. And outside of feedback, we're always looking for suggestions for any concerns you have, basically anything that you need in regards to either ISV experiences or ISV Studio. You can reach out to us using that email address.
That's great. Let me put in here too the place for actually accessing it. The shortcut, and it was part of the actual window itself. But for those of you who actually have or enrolled in ISV Connect today, have the right permissions set up as a publisher account in Partner Center, that's how you get direct access to the ISV Studio scenario. So with that, let me look to make sure if there's any other potential last minute comments, and I don't see any. But Jankar, thank you so much for the time spent, the insight. I'm sure that the people who are listening to this hopefully got some really good insight on ISV Studio, the benefits, what it actually does, what's our roadmap, and how to take advantage of it. So I appreciate the time on a Monday morning. And thank you everyone who's watching this around the world for spending time with us. Again, I'm Brian Galicia. Jankar, thank you so much. And stay well, be safe, everybody. Happy holidays, and we'll talk on the next ISV Connect LinkedIn Live event. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.